3 years ago, I stood graveside and listened to the sound of taps echo through the cemetery, the folded flag clenched against my chest like it could hold me together. My wife, Captain Eliza Grayson, was declared KIA during Operation Farsight, an op so classified they wouldn't even tell me what ocean her helicopter crashed into. No body, no wreckage, just ashes in an urn that probably came from a fireplace and 100 polite lies wrapped in dress blues. I spent 3 years clawing my way out of the abyss her death left behind. Therapy, medication, sleepless nights. I even tried dating again, briefly. Nothing stuck, because the dead don't leave room for the living. Then last night happened. I was leaving a work dinner, half drunk, half bored, when a convoy of black SUVs pulled up outside the restaurant's back entrance. Normally, I'd just glance and move on, but then the back door opened. She stepped out like a ghost trying to remember how to walk the earth. Her face was more worn, her hair shorter, but my soul recognized her before my eyes did. Same scar, same goddamn wedding ring, twin to the one I keep in a box under my bed. And then she looked right through me, turned, and disappeared into the night like I'd never existed. This morning, I got a knock at the door. He didn't say his name, just showed a badge, handed me a black folder labelled Eyes Only, and told me I had witnessed sensitive information and was now under provisional observation. Mr. Grayson, for your safety and hers, you are not to speak of what you saw last night. I asked if it was Eliza. He didn't answer. I asked if she was alive. He said, "You buried what the world needed to believe. That's all that matters." Then he left. No phone number, no contact, just a warning. If I talked, measures would be taken. But now I'm unraveling because there's more. There has to be. That night, I stayed up and dug into old news archives, found grainy photos from the operation's aftermath, cross-referenced call signs, dates, command logs, somehow still etched in the void of the internet despite heavy redactions. There was one consistent name across everything, Project Helix. And now I'm asking questions that feel radioactive. What if Eliza didn't die, but was recruited? What if her death was the only way to sever her ties to this life? And what if she saw me last night and chose to keep walking? I think she's trying to protect me from something, because now my phone's being tapped, my mail's been opened, there's a black sedan that's been parked across the street for 2 days, and last night a note slid under my door in handwriting I know like my own heartbeat. Don't trust them. Stay quiet. I never stopped loving you. Eliza is alive. She's in something deep and something dangerous, and now I think I am too. My wife is alive. The government says she isn't. And now I'm being followed. Hi again. I wasn't sure I was going to post this, but after what just happened tonight, I don't think I have a choice. If something happens to me, I want someone to know the truth, or at least my truth. To those who messaged me after the first post, thank you. To the one who said I was imagining things or grief hallucinating, I thought the same thing. I prayed for it, actually, but that's not what's happening. I know what I saw, and after tonight, I have proof. First, the sedan. The black car across the street is still there. It's always occupied, though the faces change. 2 men, sometimes 1. Military civilian types, cropped hair, neutral expressions, always pretending to check their phones but never really using them. I tried walking up to them earlier today. One rolled down the window and gave me a polite smile, like I was a confused tourist. "Can I help you, sir?" "Are you following me?" "No, sir, just parked here." 3 days in a row? "We like the view." That was it. No badge, no ID, just that. Then, the safe deposit box. After Eliza died, I kept a few of her things in a safe deposit box downtown, stuff I couldn't bear to look at, but couldn't throw away either. I hadn't touched it in over 2 years. I went today, just on instinct. I don't even know what I expected. Her wedding ring was gone, not the box, not the chain it was on, just the ring. You know what was in there? A folded note that hadn't been there before. It said, "You're being watched. Don't come looking for me. Trust only the name, Cicada Ward." I don't know what that means. Google turned up almost nothing. Some paranoid Reddit posts about military brainwave projects and DARPA black labs, but that could be anything. But then, tonight, I got a second visit. Not from a government agent, from her. Kind of. I was home, curtains closed, watching the footage from my doorbell cam on loop. Yeah, I know, paranoid. Around 9:23 p.m, the motion alert buzzed. Someone in a hoodie stepped onto the porch. I watched it live from the living room. My hand actually shook holding the remote. She didn't ring the bell. She just looked straight into the camera and held up a photo. My wedding photo. Eliza and me, her in dress whites, me in a tux. Laughing, she held it there for 10 seconds, then slid it under the door and walked away. I ran to the door, but by the time I opened it, she was gone. I ran outside, barefoot like an idiot, but no sign of her. No SUV, no footsteps, just a photo on my welcome mat. There was something written on the back in her handwriting. They lied about me. Don't let them lie about you too. I don't know who they are anymore. CIA, Navy intelligence, something off books. I don't know what Psychard Award is. But I know this, my wife is alive. She's not just working for something classified, she's running it, or hiding from it. Maybe both. I just wish I knew if she's protecting me or warning me to run. Edite. I unplugged my router 20 minutes ago. My phone still pinged a text I never received, just a blank message from an unknown number. Then a follow-up. You're getting too close, back off. But it wasn't addressed to me, it was addressed to Grayson, subject B. I was subject B. Then who the hell is subject A? I'm starting to think it's not Eliza. Should I go dark or dig deeper? I don't know how much time I have. I found Cicada Ward. It wasn't a place, it was a person, and now she's dead. Hi, me again. I've barely slept. My hands are shaking as I type this, but I need to get this down before I lose my nerve. Or worse, before they silence me like they silenced her. Yeah, her. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's rewind. After my last post, I did what any dumb man in love would do. I didn't listen, I didn't back off. I started digging harder. Cicada Ward. It kept rattling around in my head. Sounded like a location at first, maybe a code word for a secure wing of a base or lab, but nothing turned up in declassified records. FOIA requests were black-holed. Even the tinfoil corners of Reddit were dry, except for one user, years ago, who dropped a single thread titled, "They moved her to Cicada. That's what they do with the ones who know too much." No replies, no follow-ups. Account deleted 2 days later. So I took a different approach. I started thinking literally, what if Cicada Ward wasn't a place? What if it was a name? I got lucky, or cursed. There's a woman listed in an old 2016 DARPA research paper. Footnote, barely a mention, civilian liaison, neurocognitive specialist, Dr. Emily Cicada Ward, one published study, nothing since. I cross-referenced her with military contracting databases, nothing. Then I tried her name on an old Navy personnel system I had access to, don't ask how, and boom, flagged, sealed under a level 6 security classification. People don't get buried that deep unless they're involved in something ugly. I found her. Yesterday morning, hidden in plain sight, living under the alias Emma W. Carter in a remote township outside Norfolk, Virginia, teaching piano of all things. I drove 6 hours and got there by dusk. Her place was a quiet little cottage behind a church. I didn't knock. I watched, waited. She came out just before 8 p.m. for a walk, mid-40s, nervous, constantly glancing over her shoulder. I approached her gently, told her I was looking for Eliza Grayson, that she left me a message with her name. She froze. Didn't ask how I knew, didn't ask who I was. Just whispered, "If Eliza made contact, they'll know you're talking to me. You shouldn't be here." I asked what Project Helix was. She paled. "It's not a project anymore," she said. "It's a program. It rewrites people, wipes them, rebuilds them, weaponizes loyalty by erasing identity." I told her Eliza remembered me. She left notes, wore her ring. That made her cry. Then she's resisting it. Somehow, that shouldn't be possible. I asked her what CICADAWARD meant, what she was. Her answer? I was the last one who tried to shut it down. And then she died, not 5 minutes later. We were walking back toward her cottage. She said she had files. Proof. I heard a pop, not loud, just a cough of sound, muffled. She crumpled mid-step. Blood pooled under her coat before she even hit the dirt. Silenced shot, precise, professional. I didn't see the shooter. I didn't stay. I ran. Now I'm back home. There's a note on my kitchen table I didn't write. Same handwriting as before. You weren't supposed to find her. Stop, please. No signature, no threats, just please. I think Eliza left it, but I don't know if that's a warning or a last chance. I looked in the mirror this morning and realized I don't even know who I am anymore. They called me Subject B. I assumed it meant I was a liability. But what if I'm part of this too? What if the real lie wasn't just that Eliza's alive? What if I died too, but they brought me back as something else? One more thing. The doorbell camera caught a figure on the porch at 4:12 a.m. She stood there for a full minute, staring into the lens. It was Eliza. She whispered something before turning and vanishing again. I isolated the audio, boosted it. It wasn't clear, but I'm 80% sure she said, "They'll reboot you if you remember too much." I think I'm running out of time. Should I try to find Eliza again? Should I run? Or should I break everything wide open? I found the backup drive. It has Eliza's voice on it and a kill list with my name. I know I've said this before, but this might be the last post I ever make. I've changed locations, burner laptop, signal scrambler, no phone. I'm off-grid, or as close to it as I can get without living in a cave, and still I feel like they're closing in, like I've been living on borrowed time ever since I saw Eliza walk out of that black SUV. She's not just in danger, she is the danger. And now, so am I. Here's how it started. After Emily Cicada Ward was killed, I went back to her cottage in the dead of night. Cops hadn't found the body yet, or if they had, someone cleaned it up fast. No yellow tape, no press, no questions. But inside, the house was ransacked. Someone had been looking for something. They missed it. There was a loose panel behind the piano bench, and inside was a military-grade flash drive. Cold storage, biometric lock, but she must have calibrated it to recognize anyone because it opened for me after a few failed attempts. What was on it? Eliza's voice. An audio log, dated 18 months after her supposed death. This is Captain Eliza Grayson, recording from Site Theta 9. I no longer know what day it is, or what year, but I know what they've done to me, to all of us. Project Helix wasn't about intel gathering. It was about mind architecture, personality redrafting. They didn't want better soldiers, they wanted programmable ones. And when I started asking questions, after the first reset, I hid fragments of my old self, notes, memories, you, redacted. Yes, that's how it sounded, like someone cut her voice mid-name. I buried pieces of you, of us, hoping maybe, if I ever saw your face again, I'd remember what it meant to be real. If you're hearing this, it means you found the truth, and they'll come for you, because you're not just collateral, you're one of the first trials. You were Subject B, the beta test. You never left Helix, they just let you think you did. They need us to stay broken, but if we put the pieces back together, we become dangerous. That's not all. There were files, dozens of them, scrambled, fragmented, some encrypted to hell, but one stood out. Subject termination. Priority blacklist. It listed 14 names, most marked deceased, 2 marked active. Only one was marked red flag. Grayson B. Monitor closely. If memories return, initiate reset or neutralization. That's me. So what does that mean? It means everything I remember, her funeral, the grief, the sleepless years, they might not be real. It means Eliza didn't just survive Project Helix, she escaped it, and she's trying to pull me out too. But the moment I start remembering, the fail-safes kick in, the sedation, the surveillance, the whispers through my phone, the blank texts, the van that follows me every other day. I thought I was chasing the truth. Now I'm wondering if I'm just walking into a loop they've already set up. But I'm not done, because there's one final entry in Eliza's audio log. It wasn't labeled. It was hidden inside the metadata of the flash drive's boot sector. Her voice is different in this one, rushed, whispering. There's a failsafe. If you're hearing this, go to the vault at Pine Lake. I left something there they can't erase. My final command code. It's the only way to shut down Helix, for good. But be warned, the moment you access it, they'll know. And they won't try to reset you this time. They'll erase you completely. I'll be waiting. So now I have a choice. I can vanish, disappear, live whatever life they left me with, or I can go to Pine Lake and maybe die a real death as myself, trying to end what they started. Please like and subscribe my channel.